Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I'm your host for today and every other day, the Articulate Thinker, hopefully here to bring you art, articles, and articulation straight from articulation stations. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. I am in a hurry. I'm running late. Have to go back to work here in a few minutes, but I want to cover this story, which just broke a little while ago. Here's a headline for you, courtesy of the Daily Wire, who will be releasing Lady Ballers tomorrow. Sign up and watch it for yourself. Should be a laugh and a half. Here's the headline. Rand Paul uses Heimlich maneuver to save U.S. Senator choking on lunch. Gulp. This story is hard to swallow. Chokes me up just thinking about it. Puns intended. All right, back to the story, which is about Joni Ernst, who I last mentioned in one of my videos on one of my channels. I can't remember which one, because Donald Trump had taken credit for her election. And that's a side point. It has nothing to do with this particular story. Breaking news story. But I'm just saying, that's the last time her name came to my mind. And that was just a couple of weeks ago, at most. All right, so as for the article, I'll go ahead and read through it. Senator Rand Paul reportedly used the Heimlich maneuver on Senator Joni Ernst today after she apparently began to choke on her food. Rand Paul used the Heimlich maneuver on Joni Ernst at state lunch today. She was choking on some food, per attendees said Politico reporter Burgess Everett. She's okay, senators say. Ernst confirmed the news on X, posting from her official government account. And before I read that, I'll go ahead and jump over to her actual Twitter account, shall I say, X account. And she reposted this post from Burgess Everett, who said once again, "Whoa, Rand Paul used the Heimlich maneuver on Joni Ernst at Senate lunch today. She was choking on some food, per attendees. She's okay, senators say." And then, yes, Joni Ernst herself said, "Can't help but choke on the woke policies Dems are forcing down our throats." Thanks, Dr. Rand Paul. So you might appreciate her sense of humor in such a time as this, unless you're someone who is a Democrat or someone who is on the left. Then you may wish death upon her. Heaven forbid. I am happy for her. Happy for him. Some good news from the day. Could have been bad news. But yeah, shouts out to her and him and her. Back to this article, because there's a little bit of information at the end. Senator Charles Grassley, said in a tweet earlier in the afternoon that food at the Senate lunch was provided by Ernst and the Iowa Cattlemen's Association. All right. So she brought it, and then she choked on it. That's what it sounds like. Guess she was just testing it out to see if it was safe for everyone else to eat. Turns out it was not. Well, I guess just not for her. Chuck Grassley, man, that dude's so old. I'm surprised he can swallow. No offense intended to him. He seems like a cool dude. All right, moving on. A post from Colin Rugg. No one will ever pull the rug out from under him. Senator Rand Paul reportedly saved Senator Joni Ernst's life today by performing the Heimlich maneuver on her during lunch. I want to say Hemlock every time I see the word Heimlich. Wow! Fire emoji. Paul jumped into action after he noticed that 53-year-old Ernst was choking. Whoever said that white men cannot jump? Ernst confirmed the incident on X and thanked Paul. Can't help but choke on the woke policies Dems are forcing down our throats. Thanks, Dr. Rand Paul. Of course she was joking, because she was the one who was responsible for serving the food, essentially, and she is not a Dem. So there's that. Rand Paul, one of the few good politicians, says Colin Rug. Very rugged man indeed. I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Just trying to make as many puns as possible in a short amount of time. Here over on CNN Politics, because I like to get my information from all sorts of sources. Rand Paul successfully used Heimlich maneuver on choking Joni Ernst in GOP lunch. I see here at the top of the page. Happening now, House debates whether to expel GOP Representative George Santos. Watch on CNN. I'll do that when I get back to work. I mean, I'll listen to it, as I always do, because I'm trying to keep up with that. I'll talk about that later. That's why you should like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. But let's see here. Was I paused here long enough at the top of the page to use this as a thumbnail for this particular show? There we go. Was pausing for the thumbnail. Republican senators were alarmed and relieved when they learned that their colleague, Senator Joni Ernst, had choked during a party lunch on Thursday and was rescued by Senator Rand Paul, who gave her the Heimlich maneuver. An aide to Ernst said, the senator is okay. Fantastic. Maybe she'll make some more statements about this. I mean, if your life has just been saved, you'd think you'd have a little bit more to offer than a insult towards the Democrats. But to each their own, I suppose. And hey, keeping it light, I guess. What's she supposed to say? I'm so grateful to be alive. Well, maybe. That's what some people would say. That might be what I would say. Depends on who is giving me the Heimlich maneuver, I suppose. If I can't stand him, I might just be like, let me die next time. I'm just kidding. I would never. However, Ernst appeared to be making jokes about the experience on social media, tweeting, can't help but choke on the woke policies, blah, 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 blah. We already read that like 3 times. Ernst was actually hosting the lunch as GOP senators rotate those chores for their Thursday lunches when they offer foods unique to their states. Ernst from Iowa served big pork chops and ribeyes. Maybe she should think twice about that next time. Or maybe she just has a tiny throat. Or a great big pork chop. 1 pork chop to the throat. 1 rib to the eyes. Which would be more painful? A rib to the eyes or a pork chop to the throat? I didn't actually see it. Senator John Cornyn said, Republican from Texas. We've had that happen other times, or one other time to one of our members. It's kind of scary. Yeah, I would imagine so. Wyoming Republican Cynthia Loomis said Paul, who is a doctor, and Ernst addressed the lunch after it happened, and there was a discussion about how to notice someone is choking, and that senators can get training to perform the Heimlich in the Capitol. Fortunately, Rand Paul was there, because some of the other senators, members of Congress, may not know how to perform such a procedure, if it's considered a procedure. He has a bit of medical experience, though. God bless Rand Paul. I never thought I would say that, quipped Senator Lindsey Graham, a South Carolina Republican who was not present when it happened. I mean, who cares what you have to say? I'm just kidding. Who cares what I have to say? He has much more of a following than I do, so I can't hold that against Senator Lindsey Graham too much. I'm just not a big fan of the man. Apparently, he's not a big fan of Rand Paul either, though, so there's that. This, that, and the other thing. Senator Rand Paul performs Heimlich maneuver on choking Joni Ernst. This is an article from Fox News. I don't know how much more I need to read into this. I'm just making sure I get as many details as possible. If anything breaks later on down the road, I'll cover that potentially. Not that there's going to be much more to report on, but I'm just saying. And this is pretty much a 1-sentence article, so I can skip right past it. Let's see. Paul, a medical doctor and an ophthalmologist was quickly lauded by his Republican colleagues like Senator Mike Lee, Republican from Utah, who called Paul a hero. Not all senators can quote Mises and Hake. You know, it's funny. I just looked at the pronunciations of those writers, had them in my mind, and then I completely forgot the pronunciations as I was recording this show. So if I got those wrong, my apologies. I'm not the most well-read individual, apparently. But yes, Mike Lee, the senator from Utah, once again, said not all senators can quote Mises and Hike, who I may have pronounced wrong, while saving lives. Yeah, that's what Lee wrote on X, referencing two Austrian economists. You can find over here on Wikipedia, as I did, because I like to be as informed as possible once again. Here's the quote from Lindsey Graham in an article from The Hill. I already read that. I can exit out of this USA Today article. Just wanted to get a couple of quotes from a couple of sitting senators and such. Here are some headlines. You probably heard about this by now because it's making its rounds in the news. I mean, if you keep up with me, I'm assuming you keep up with the news at least somewhat. So it could be that I didn't actually inform you on anything. Either way, I thank you for being here. Senator Rand Paul posted earlier today, the American people deserve to know how the COVID pandemic started, and Fauci must be held accountable for his lies to Congress. One of his calling cards has been his back and forths in Senate hearings with Anthony Fauci, who is no longer in a position that he was in at the time, but he's going to be appearing before Congress for the first time in a while. This from the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. Breaking, Dr. Anthony Fauci will appear before the 118th Congress for the first time in a 2-day transcribed interview on January 8, 2024 and January 9, 2024. He has also agreed to testify in front of COVID Select. That's at COVID Select at the public hearing next year. So, information on that. I don't want to get into it too much because it's slightly off the trail, off the topic. Just a couple of reference points for you, though. Hope you enjoyed that. You're welcome. Come again. And I'll be here at some point in the near future, so keep in touch, keep in tune. New content is coming soon. With that being said, peace.